You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. I am your host, Rick Franzi, and boy, do we have a good show planned for you. Why do you ask? Because Michelle Barto is our guest. She is the president and founder of Launch Creative. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yeah, I love having Orange County entrepreneurs on the show, and especially when they're the founder of their company. So let's start with your origin story. Let's go back in time, Michelle, and tell us about the inspiration, motivation you had to launch your firm.
So I spent the first 5 years of my career in purchasing consulting, which I loved. It was a great job, super fun. I got to help businesses. I got to help improve processes. I have a computer science degree. And so it was kind of the fun part of computer science, helping processes with the people part, because I love people. When I was in high school, we talk about how there's jobs that our kindergartners will have someday that they haven't even heard of yet. Well, when I was in high school, I knew I loved art. I knew I loved talking to people, and I knew I loved coding. And that wasn't like a linear career path back in those days. So I was lucky enough to work in purchasing consulting, love that job, but it was a 50 to 75% of the time travel. I would be routinely gone Monday to Friday. Also very fun, but then young family, I started a family. And so it was time to think about other things. So I really took some time and evaluated my strengths and, helping people, coding, writing, and service. I love helping people. So that kind of turned into taking on a client who had a website project, and they said, "Hey, will you do a website for us?" And I said, "Sure." I did them in college. Let's see. And it turned into a business. And so that was back in 2008 when I did that first website. 2011, I would say decided to make it a real business. And we've been helping design and build websites, digital marketing campaigns ever since.
Wow, that's an interesting career path. And I have to ask, how long have you been in Orange County, California?
Born and raised. I left for college for 4 years. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
And why did you leave to go to college?
Growing up here, it's a little bubble, and I just felt like there had to be, different things and seasons, and I went and experienced the seasons and decided to come right back. The first fall and winter are magical, and the fourth time you do that, you're like, "Oh my God, never -15, no, thank you." So,
and so were you in Ohio for school?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very rare. I think only 2 days I was -15, but that was enough for me to.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I went through college there, and I came out to Southern California in January for a vacation, and I thought, so winter can be like this?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, why am I doing this?
Right. Well, I hear Steubenville's a beautiful place to visit, so hopefully you had a good experience while you were there.
Great people. Campus is beautiful. Just like really good-hearted people are at that school.
Mm-hmm. And now you're in Newport area, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is also not a bad place to be.
Yeah, this is where I started out, so I came right back.
All right. Well, let's talk about the business, and what have you learned since launching the firm, and what have been the pivots, either major or minor, to the business model over the years, Michelle?
So when we started, I really loved helping solo entrepreneurs. There's just like this passion that comes with founders that it's like so hard to replace. And that was something that we, my tiny team back then, we really loved doing. As we got bigger and I added more teammates and started thinking about what we wanted to do, we worked with bigger companies, and that was fun too. But I found out one thing I spent a lot more time doing as our clients grew bigger and bigger was I was doing less creative direction and more business development and sales, which is necessary. But in time, I would say probably the biggest skill that I had to learn was sales. And I would say for anyone who's building a business, like if you're not good at sales, you can be the best at what you do, but you're not going to be able to grow that business. But finding that balance between doing all that business development and doing the creative direction led us to do a couple pivots. In COVID, we got quite big and started dealing with companies that had pretty serious, significant like Series A funding to do big projects. So fun, but not really what our sweet spot is. Our sweet spot is people who maybe have like a medium-sized business or small business, but just really want to either be the best in class. They want to offer the best service. They want to offer the best craftsmanship. They want to build a product that makes the world a better place. One of my favorite clients we've ever had makes reef-friendly sunscreen. Just people who have that passion for making something great that you find with founders, but not necessarily that like entry level, because we're just, that's a different price point than we're working at right now.
So the name is Launch Creative.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me the genesis of the name.
So the name of our website right now is Let's Get Launch, which is a pun on Let's Get Lunch, because I think a lot of the relationships are really, really important. And I think one thing that is important when you start a brand, when you have that launch, is you have to put a little creative spin on things. The very first business I ever had was a lemonade stand when I was 10. And yeah, and everyone has a lemonade stand, lemonade, whatever. And I remember I had an uncle who was in marketing, and he and my mom were talking, and they're like, well, this is kind of like boring. Like, no one's going to stop at your lemonade stand. There's like 10 of them. Like, you should think of a different angle. Like, what's something creative that you can put into that? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, well, what's the name? Like, think about the tree. And like, these are like, we have 2 lemon trees in our yard. This one's like a ponderosa one. This one's like a different kind of lemon. I'm like, okay, well, so they helped me, they guided me, but we changed the name of my lemonade stand to Ponderosa Lemonade Stand. And people would stop because they wanted to know what a ponderosa lemonade, what made that different. And so I took that a lot into my launches. Like, we usually try to use a word that's creative for something that's maybe kind of boring. We'll try to put, if we're lucky enough to be part of a company that's going through brand identity reevaluation, love doing that, because that's when you really can put that creative spin into things. But if not, if they already have their brand, we might try to find some kind of angle that's different to be creative. And then I think you get a lot of traction in sales when you can do a big launch around something, whether it's a new product or a rebrand. So that's always been part of our approach. So if we're working with an existing client, let's find something really exciting about your brand that people haven't talked about. Let's launch that in a creative way. And then, since I found myself using so often, I think that this just became the name, because it used to be something else entirely, more like my name.
That's interesting. It is hard for early stage companies or growing companies to continue to get the mind share and awareness of the marketplace, isn't it? And trying to find something that causes people to be curious on the Rosa is really valuable, especially if you can get the whole company's messaging behind that for a period of time. That's excellent.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
So we'll do kind of like a strategic plan around whatever our creative angle is, and plan that out for a year and a half, and then kind of reevaluate.
So you have a computer science degree? Is that what you said?
Yeah, computer information science. Yeah.
Okay, and you're a creative on the other side.
Yeah, I'm a family of artists, so I'm the least artistic of the bunch. So I went into computer science.
Well, that's fantastic. What a great blend to have those two. And I really appreciate what you said earlier in this interview, that how the importance for the founder or the CEO to be capable and comfortable doing some of the business development for the company. Because I agree with you completely. You can have the best service model, but if you can't get out and talk to strangers about it,
you're not going to go very far.
Yeah, it kind of governs how big the company can really get. So I applaud you for your entrepreneurial desire. So let's take a look and ask you any business advice that you were given. You mentioned before your mom and your uncle, but anything else that someone gave you that you could pay it forward today, Michelle, and share with our audience?
I would say that when you're planning your business, other than, number one, if you're a founder, get good at sales. And even if you don't like it, like, figure out an angle that, whether it's a service approach or just something, you have to be good at sales. But I would say number two is when you're planning your profits and your things like that, it's really tempting to, pay yourself and then pay your bills. I always like to set aside a little bit for product innovation. That way, when you kind of look at maybe we want to do a pivot, you have some funds there to pull out of the business to experiment with products, to expand your product offering, and you're not taking it out of your salary, you're not taking it out of bills, you don't get underwater with debt, which so many businesses do. That's harder maybe if you're already established for a long time, but if you're just starting out, I would say keep that in the back of your mind, that section needs to be for product innovation, and just be really strict about it. You want to make sure that you're providing the core service that you got into business for, but times change. We've got a product we're experimenting with, and that's been the way we've been able to do that.
That's interesting because we work hard as entrepreneurs to find a scalable business model, and then we want to reap the benefits of all that effort. But knowing that from your perspective, you need to be thinking about innovation can be challenging because it's like, no, I've got a business model and it's working.
Right. Yeah, just so doesn't have to be a large amount, but just, times change, and maybe whatever you thought was your core business is no longer what you want to do, or markets change. AI has been a big disruptor. That's, something where I think it's important. That's just showing people it's probably good to have kind of an alternate approach to how you can do your core business, in the back of your mind.
Because the field that you're in since 2011 or 2008, the innovation, the technological breakthroughs that have made other things more easy, building websites, social media, the other things that you've been dealing with, you're kind of on a hamster wheel of having to keep making sure that you're using the most current technologies, aren't you? And innovations that happen
all the
outside of your brand.
Yep. Yeah. That's a huge part of what I try to block into my week, is just time to just explore whatever the new shiny objects are and see if it's worth bringing into our stack or not.
Okay. So let's take a look at artificial intelligence, because for about a year plus, we've been asking guests from all industries their view of AI. So from your perspective, how do you see AI influencing and impacting both your industry, but also then your company, and maybe even the service offerings that you have for your clients?
So that's a great question. So initially, I think we were all a little scared, especially in our field, that it would replace jobs. The thing, I actually really like AI because there are a lot of times where a client wants to see a logo concept, and you might have to go back and draw it or hire someone. The nice thing with AI is if you kind of have an idea in your head of what you think the client might like. I like to think of it as brute force creativity. I can put a prompt into AI and say okay, put these elements in. I think it should look like this. The logo that it spits out is not something that is usable, but it very, very quickly lets me talk to the client and say, is this a direction you're comfortable with us going? We're going to go back. We're going to, create this logo. It's going to look really beautiful. This one looks a little weird, but do you like the elements in here? Is there anything you don't like? I think it is a great conversation starter and a great kind of way to make sure that you and the client are on the same page. Sometimes with video, I've seen some really amazing things too. And it's kind of fun to work them in as a novelty thing. I'm sure we'll see more of it as it gets better, but for now it's been very much just a tool of, if you were going to quickly sketch something, so I'm bad at drawing, but AI can sketch out what I'm thinking of really quickly, and I can put that in front of the client and say, yes, we love this, or get rid of this. And then I can go back and get into Illustrator, or work with, my creative team, and we can put something that just makes the process that much faster. So I think if you're using it to speed up the process, it can be really awesome. And I think there's other things where, before, one of our products is a template for websites. And initially I was thinking, well, maybe this will be a challenge, because you can just, you can go to a website and say, this is my domain name, this is my business, create a website. And in 3 minutes, you can have a website. Pretty good,
Yeah, right. Sounds.
If you had, $10 and you needed to get going right now, that's pretty good. But I think the thing that it hasn't quite figured out how to do is to bring that knowledge of sales and conversion into pages. It can have the information, it can look attractive enough. It's not going to, you're not going to pay thousands of dollars for that. But in terms of speed to market, I think that's the value of it.
That's interesting because over the time that we've been asking that question and having a conversation here on the show about artificial intelligence, your messaging reinforces kind of what the impression, the feeling that I'm getting too, which is it's a capable tool in the right person's hands,
Yeah.
but it's only as capable as the person who's programming it, who's talking to it, who's giving it the prompts.
Right.
It's in and of itself, it's capable, but it has limits. It needs that human intelligence and expertise that you provide. So
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit more about what it is you do for your clients, and tell me, describe an ideal client for you, someone who who really gets a lot of value from working with you and your team, Michelle.
Okay. We've got a great client right now who I think is a perfect example. They make a product that they've been working on for a couple generations. They've really refined their process. They make these beautiful fishing boats, just like the craftsmanship and level of detail is just excellent. Even like the screws are lined up in all the same places. They have a pretty good logo. They're looking to improve their sort of brand recognition because they're known in a specific market. They want to be known in a broader area. And it's great because they brought us on to kind of look at their brand identity, to redo their website for them, and, have they've said multiple times, and I'm so happy because I feel the same way. They want a long-term partner in this. And that is kind of who we are looking to help. We want to make a beautiful website that really speaks to your ideal client, that is smart, is functional, and we want to be there for the long haul because technology changes, things change. We like to stay on top of analytics to say, hey, you're trying to reach this market. This copy that we put in there, which resonated a year ago, is really not resonating now. Let's rewrite the copy so that people really feel like they're being spoken to, and just be a partner with people who are making beautiful things, or, have a lot of care. Like another client that we love is our reef-friendly sunscreen company, because they just put so much care into making healthy sunscreen that's good for you, that's good for the planet. And, from time to time, we kind of reevaluate the reach and whether they are better off in a different store, or if we need to get them some PR, or if we need to just kind of take a look at different sections of the website. We put a subscription into place pretty early on because that was something that people would want. And then we kind of evaluated, like, hey, during the months of like May to October, like the subscription model will, be more frequent. And then the option was, but then, the winter months, it's like it automatically goes to less. People really like that because they didn't feel like they had to cancel it a couple times a year. They were locked in for the year. They knew they would have it during the summer. And then, they wouldn't be getting, 3 bottles a month in January, which nobody needs.
Even in Southern California, ladies and gentlemen, maybe 1 bottle, but not 3. Okay.
Right.
Interesting. Are your clients mostly B2C or B2B? How does that break down for you?
They're mostly B2C.
Okay.
We do have a couple B2B. It's sort of depended over the years. I've found that with B2B, it's kind of a funny marketplace for them right now. I feel like a lot of B2B are maybe not pushing as many new products, and they're not trying to be, some of them are, but the innovation is kind of stalled. And that's just been reflected on what we've been asked to, like, problems we've asked to solve. They want to increase their volume, but maybe they're not trying to like do anything new. And we're really good at like providing an innovative lens of things. But we have a couple law firms, and we have a couple like a insurance company.
Interesting. So let's talk about the future. What's the vision, Michelle, that you have for Launch Creative?
Yeah. So ideally, we would keep working with people who have a great vision for something amazing they want to do, and we help them get there on the agency side. And then that product we've kind of been exploring is a couple things. We've tested out sort of templates for that brand new solo entrepreneur who wants to benefit from our expertise, who has that passion. We're so excited to help them. We're probably a little out of their price range. So we've experimented with doing like a mastermind membership with doing templates on their own, still kind of refining how that all serves people the best. We've had a couple people go through it in a couple different ways, and I'm not really sure if I think the direction is going to be more of the like membership and mastermind, because people need a little bit more support than just a beautiful website. You know, there's all kinds of parts that go into business. That's part of what we'll be doing there. And then just sort of expanding with our existing clients who want to be innovative on some back end stuff. We've got a project where we're trying to collect all the kinds of different metrics that for like Shopify, for example. If you have a Shopify website and you want to bring in your metrics from your Google Analytics and all of your different sorts of things, and have a dashboard that kind of tells you right up front, here's what the profit per bottle of sunscreen sold is very quickly. And here's kind of how it breaks down. So that's one of our probably end of the year launches that we'll do for people.
Interesting on all fronts. I believe very much in the power of what I think of as collective intelligence. And so this idea of getting a group of people a cohort together in a mastermind format seems like it could be a really creative and interesting way to help people. So
thank you.
I love that. So if someone wants to reach out to you, Michelle, directly on LinkedIn, and also learn more about Launch Creative, how do they do those two things?
So on LinkedIn as Michelle Barto, pretty active on there. So send me a message, and I'm happy to work with you. If you're looking for my agency, we're at Let's Get Launch. If you're looking for that mastermind experience, we're at launchcreative.com. And we're on Instagram and Facebook as launch_creative.
Well, I want to thank you for being our guest today. I said to the audience at the top of the show that it was going to be an interesting and fun show, and you did not disappoint. I really appreciate you sharing your entrepreneurial story with our audience.
Thanks very much.
And thank you, audience. Like I said, you're a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. Michelle's show now joins our archives of over 1,500 episodes. If you happen to be an Orange County entrepreneur, or you're leading a nonprofit and you would like to share your story with our audience, it's easy. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, which is R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. Send me a message in your connection request, and between Haley, our producer, and myself, we can get you ready to be a future guest on the program. Until we have a chance to be together again, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.